Welcome back each and everyone watching Mama Urgagasabo Television. Thank you for being with us in the news edition. You're going to be with me, Kamikaze Gisle. Now let's kick off with the news headlines. Honorable Yves Iradukunda met with SpaceX leadership to review rollout of Starlink in Rwanda. Charity sponsored by Monaco Prince Albert to open beekeeping schools in Rwanda. On the international news, trial of former Mariam Prime Minister Musa Mara gets underway. Let's take a short break to be back into the news details. Welcome back. Let's start our news in Rwanda. Honorable Yves Iradukunda met with SpaceX leadership to review the rollout of Starlink in Rwanda, now serving about 5,000 users. Both sides confirmed agreement on spectrum with rural and Rwanda space that will enable the installation of the first Starlink gateway in Rwanda before year's end, directly linked to the national fiber backbone. The discussion focused on expanding access of schools and community, drawing on pilots in Rwanda and models of Mexico and Niger. Both sides agreed to explore creative financing and donor partnerships to ensure long-term sustainability while also expanding application in agriculture, healthcare, and rural service delivery. Moving ahead, in Musanze, a charity supported by Prince Albert II of Monaco is launching beekeeping schools in Rwanda to empower vulnerable women and promote sustainable agriculture. The initiative, led by the French Observatory of Apidology, is setting up training centers in Musanze district, including the Virginie de Pauvre Charity Home in Ruhondo and the one and only Parc des Volcans. The program aimed to provide women with skills in modern beekeeping, honey production, and environmental conservation, enabling them to become financially independent. During a recent visit, Prince Albert emphasized the dual importance of supporting local communities and preserving biodiversity. In addition to school openings, the OFA inaugurated a new apiary school in Musanze and is conducting research on propolis from Nyungwe forest due to potential health benefits. The initiative is part of a broader effort to promote sustainable development and improve rural livelihood in Rwanda. Turning to the next story, local leaders in Ngororero district have been urged to help citizens preserve crime scene evidence to support the delivery of fair justice. The call was made on September 29 during the Sobanukirwa RFI 2025 campaign led by the National Institute for Forensic Evidence. Officials from various sectors, including local government, health, security, and religious institutions, were trained on how to secure evidence before authorities arrive. Readers were shown how protecting crime scenes can speed up investigations and ensure reliable justice. The officer in charge of finance and administration in Kabaya sector, Nyiransigimana Saverine, said that one thing they benefited from this awareness campaign was that they learned that they can preserve evidence in the event of crimes, which will help speed for justice. The Director General of the RFI's Postmortem Services, Director Innocent Nkurunziza, emphasized preventing interference with crime scenes and promoting the Institute's services such as DNA, drug and document verification testing to ensure justice is served. Let's take a short break to be back on the international news.
She's so bombastic. Tumwe mu rugero ukeneye kurangura wahamagara nimero ubona muri screen yawe. Bombastic Gin, a product of NBG.
Welcome back. On the international scene, the trial of former Malian Prime Minister Musamara got underway at the cybercrime court in the capital, Bamako, on Monday. Princess Mugisha proceeds.
Let's start on the African news, where the trial for the former Malian Prime Minister Moussa Mara got underway at the cybercrime court in the capital, Bamako, on Monday. He has charged with undermining the credibility of the state, opposing legitimate authority, and inciting public disorder. This was comments Mara made in social media after visiting detained opposition figures in jail. In a post on X, expressed solidarity with the men, describing them as prisoners of the conscience. He said his visits were to make sure that the flame of the hope never fades in them. Mara served as the Prime Minister for the 9 months as a decade ago and has recently become an outspoken critic of the military government. The Judah, led by the General Sam Magoita, came to power following the 2 coups in 2020 and 2021. He was named transitional president in 2021, promising election the following year, but in May this year dissolved all political parties following a rare anti-government protest. In July, Goita approved a law granting himself a 5-year presidential mandate, renewable as many times as necessary and without erection. Turning to our next story, international news, Hamas is reviewing a Gaza plan announced by Donald Trump, president, in the White House on Monday. The 20-point plan includes an end of the fighting, the return of the Israeli hostages, and an international board of peace to help run Gaza, which would include former Prime Minister Tony Blair on a view. Plan also raises the possibility of the credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood if conditions are met. But Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu insists the plan does not mean Palestinian statehood and that Israel is forcibly resist the idea. President Trump, who announced the plan alongside Netanyahu, says if Hamas doesn't accept, he gives Israel full backing to do what they have to do. Hamas said to be reviewing the plan in good faith. BBC Gaza correspondent says its response may come in form of yes. Concluding international news, diplomatic sources have told Al Jazeera that Hamas negotiation team in study of the US President Donald Trump 20-point to end Israel or Gaza. Israel Prime Minister has said he agreed the plan in a news briefing with Trump at the White House as Israeli forces continue to escalate attacks on the Gaza Strip, killing at least 37 people since dawn. Palestinians in Gaza have said the plan raises many questions, including what proposed international stabilization force for the enclave might look like. The plan has been welcomed by several countries, including the Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Egypt, Italy, France, and the United Kingdom, as well as the Palestinian Authority. Israel on Gaza has killed at least 66,000 people more and wounded 168 more since October 2023. 1,000 more are believed to be buried under the rubble. A total of over 1,000 people are killed in Israel during the October 7, 2023 attacks, and about 200 were taken captive. Princess Mugisha, Mamargo Gasau TV.
As we come to the end of today's news edition, let's remind you of the top stories that we talked about. Honorable Yves Iradukunda met with SpaceX leadership to review rollout of Starlink in Rwanda. Charity sponsored by Monaco Prince Albert to open beekeeping schools in Rwanda. On the international scene, trial of former Malian Prime Minister Musamara gets underway. And this marks the end of today's news edition. Stay tuned.